Hello, everybody. Welcome back, and welcome to the final installment of Wizard Week. We have watched 11 Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts movies within 4 days. It's all led to this. Now, I gotta be careful here because all the other movies I've talked about have been out for several years, and anyone who is interested would have already seen them. So I'm going to try to avoid spoilers. I will get to spoilers later, but I'm going to try to give some more general thoughts first, and then more specific thoughts later. As I was sitting in the movie theater, the thought came over me that the first 10 films I watched on 1.5 speed, and I thought to myself, oh man, this is probably going to feel really long. And like that's gonna not be fair to the movie, if that's my opinion. That didn't seem to be a factor. I wasn't checking my phone. It didn't feel overly long. Didn't feel like there were pacing issues like I felt that there were in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So I was pleasantly surprised with that. That said, this movie felt like a big nothing to me personally. And what I mean by that is that there are things that have been set up over the last two movies that I feel like are not delivered on in this one. There are things that were shown to us in the trailer to give us an idea of what kind of movie this is going to be. Did not live up to those expectations. And for now, this is the last one, right? They don't currently have any official plans to move forward with the Fantastic Beasts franchise. So even though I don't think having the excuse of, oh, well, it's setting up for the next one, I don't think that's a good excuse anyway, but as of now, there is no next one. So this seems like a really, really weak endpoint. So I would say of the Fantastic Beasts films, I certainly did not enjoy it as much as I did The Crimes of Grindelwald, but I was not as bored with it as I was with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Maybe part of that has to do with, me being in the theater for this and in the moment, not on my phone and stuff like I was, Fantastic Beasts. I was just on my couch. So maybe that played a role. But I feel like this is solidly in the middle of those three. What other general thoughts can I give? A lot of the complaints that I've already made about the Fantastic Beasts sub-series continue here. A lot of people use their wands basically like guns without actually, saying anything or doing any type of specific motion. Just zap, 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 boom, boom. And, so many people, threaten people by holding their wands up to their necks. And again, it's just a gun at that point. Right? Even things like the Killing Curse, when Voldemort's using it in the Harry Potter movies, he's performing the spell, right? But there's less tension if, this person's holding their wand and I know that they have to say something before they can hurt me. That gives me time to grab it if I'm going to make a move, right? But when you make your wands just guns, well, then it's, it's supposed to be more threatening that it's just there, as if they can just zap you with it. I don't know how the magic works. I don't know how some spells need to have words said and other spells don't. But it just feels lazy. It feels very, very lazy to just have people zapping it like a gun rather than, when I was in college, I went to music school, and one of our rites of passage was getting our first conducting baton. And I remember with my friends running through the halls of our music building, yelling spells at each other and flicking our wands. Because that's the cool part of them. A stick that shoots a laser, that's just a laser gun. That's not cool. That's not all on this movie. It just continues to be a problem in this movie. Still not a very straight focus. Better, I think, than in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, but I don't think it was quite as streamlined as Crimes of Grindelwald. Still no, central hub, like a Hogwarts. Not that it has to be a school or a castle or anything. Just like, I don't know. I don't think we, the audience, ever see the inside of Newt's suitcase in this movie. Characters go inside there. We never see it, though. That could have been such a great hub for this series, right? And you can have it changing as the animals that he has change, right? But we don't even see it this movie. As you can probably tell, I was not impressed with this movie. My rating scale that I use, that I always forget to say in my videos, it goes from 1 to 7. 4 means exactly what I was expecting. 3 means it was not as good as I expected. 2 is bad. 1 is horrible. 5 means better than I expected. 6 is really good. 7 is like blew my mind, right? I would give this movie a 3. Honestly, if I take the trailers into account, it would be a 2. The trailers, I think, are very misleading. But I'm trying to keep the context similar, right? And I just rewatched all these other movies without the context of the trailers and everything. So I'm trying to take that out on its own, just as a movie, from what I expected from the build-up from the other movies. It gets a 3. It didn't go where I expected it to go. The things that it was setting up in previous movies were not paid off, in my opinion. And nothing happens in this movie. There's no big thing that gets done. The big point of the movie is that they're trying to stop something from being done, which that they will, because this is a prequel, and things that happen later in this universe. So at no point do you think that they're going to fail. But there's nothing that they're trying to do. There's nothing that gets accomplished. They just stop a thing that we already know isn't going to happen from happening. So those are my vague, general, and non-spoilery thoughts. I have a lot of notes on here. Not all of them I would consider spoilers, but just to be safe, moving forward, consider this your spoiler warning if you have not seen the film yet. I got a lot of notes. What I did was, because I couldn't take notes while I was watching it, so I came back home, looked up the plot summary on Wikipedia, and kind of went through in my head again things that happened and wrote down my notes there. These are not necessarily all in order, though. It's a bit messy, but let's get into it. So first of all, Tina, barely in this movie. And at first I thought she was just not going to be in the movie. And I was like, maybe the actress didn't want to come back or something. Or maybe something happened. I don't know. But she comes in at the end for one shot and then one scene later on. The very last scene in the movie. So it's like, why are you going to bring her in and not use her? And, would her character being there add to what they do in this movie? No, because as I said, they don't actually do anything in this movie. But there's a collection of Yusuf, Newt, Theseus, Jacob, Lolly, Dumbledore. 6 people. And Bunty. 7 people. Bunty, I'm sorry. That all could be interchangeable here. Right? So you've got quite a bigger part for Bunty, Newt's assistant in this movie. But why? Tina could have easily filled that role. And even if, because things are weird between her and Newt, even if they don't interact, she could still be involved in the movie. And we can still see what's going on with her. But instead we get Bunty, which means that Newt's not in the case. Bunty's not in the case. Who's taking care of the animals? Very strange choice, in my opinion, to take Tina out. I think Tina has been a main part of this franchise, and her interactions with Newt and with Queenie are part of what brings all these characters together. And with Jacob, right? Just not barely in this movie. My next note is Grindelwald. So, I understand why Johnny Depp was recast. Not to say that I agree with that decision, but I understand it. But now you've got 3 different actors, 3 movies in a row, all playing Grindelwald. Now, to be fair, Colin Firth was playing Graves, Grindelwald in disguise, right? But, like, it's just weird, continuity-wise, to see 3 different people in a row. But at least Colin Farrell, first of all, there's an explanation for why they look different, right? So you could have just thrown in a line about, oh, he's been changing his appearance every few months, right? To avoid being detected. 1 line of dialogue, and you've got that good. But they don't include that, which means in the universe, he's supposed to look the same, right? And obviously we know he looks different, but hey, that just happens. But Johnny Depp had such a distinct hairstyle at the end of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and then all throughout Crimes of Grindelwald, and they don't even try to give Mads Mikkelsen anything resembling that haircut. Absolutely does not look a thing like him. When Dumbledore was recast, he still looks pretty much the same, right? There are some intricacies of the face that couldn't be duplicated, but he still got the long hair, he still got the long beard. He looks as similar as they could have made him. They didn't do a thing to try to make him visually look like the same character. And when you have such a statement piece on your head for the whole second movie, you can't just ignore that. Lazy. So many things about this movie just felt lazy. My next note is politics, because yay, we talk about politics a lot in this movie. This whole movie is about stopping a political election. We get lines in the beginning about, oh, the what do they call it? The peaceful transfer of power is so important. Things that I can't say with 100% certainty, but it certainly feels like were added in after certain real world events that this movie really wants to take a stand on. And hey, if you've got a movie that's, about that, and you want to take a stance on it, fine. But this is supposed to be a movie about a fictional, magical world. The last thing I want when I'm watching a movie about a fictional, fantasy, magical world is to be reminded about the crap that I have to deal with in the politics in the real world. Not what I go to a movie about wizards for, is to be reminded about how horrible politics are. Gotta try to rein it in here. I mentioned earlier that I felt that there was no payoff in this film for what the previous 2 films were focusing on. So, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. As I said in my video for that film, it felt very split to me. And half of the movie was focused on Credence. And what's the deal with Credence? What's going on with Credence? Obscurals, whatever they're called. Big deal. The whole second movie is all about finding out who Credence is, where he came from, how he got to where he is now, and why he's such a danger to everyone. And then in this movie, he barely matters. He has one scene where he does anything. I'm sorry, he has the scene at the beginning where he kidnaps the chillin', but that absolutely did not need to be him, and it's not only him, and I don't think he used his obscural form. So, no point in it being him. But the one time he does something as the character we've seen him be, the Obscural, is against Dumbledore, which doesn't go anywhere. So, to me, the first movie was muddled. The second movie was much clearer, focusing on Credence, right? And Credence is the crux of everything that's going on here. And then here, he's barely used at all. And it's completely forgotten. Everything that we've been setting up before. He gets to go home with his father, which is Dumbledore, Albus's brother. Whose name I don't remember. So, yay for him. But, man, what a letdown. I also mentioned before that we had some misleading trailers. So, sorry about that. Just dropped my notes. 2 big things that stuck out to me in the trailers before I even rewatched all the movies. Two big things. Number one, there's a shot where they're standing in a room and someone says, "What is this?" And I think it's Newt replies, the room we require. And my brain goes, oh, the room of requirement. That's a thing I remember from Harry Potter. So then as I'm rewatching it, I'm paying more attention to the room of requirement and how different it is throughout the movies, right? But that's the whole point. They use it once. And what do they use it for? Nothing. They stand in a circle and go over their plan, which is not a plan. It's an anti-plan / 6 plans happening at the same time, kind of. And then they just leave. There's nothing that they do in the room that could not have been done in any other room. But they put it in the trailer because it's a recognizable thing. There's a whole scene at one point where one of the fake suitcases is just full of things you've seen in another movie. A snitch comes out, and what are they called? The balls that fly all over the place. I forget what they're called. The bludgers? Or is that the players that hit the ball? I don't know. Don't know. Those are beaters. I think the balls are called bludgers. Whatever balls they are, those are flying around. And I forget what else is in there because all my brain can think of is, wow, they really want me to remember Harry Potter, don't they? So, we have the room of requirement, which goes nowhere. We also have another, this is not my other note for here, but another thing that stuck out to me in the trailers was Hi, Jonathan, my friend that watches these. Jacob getting a wand, which I didn't know when I first watched the first trailers that he was a muggle, but in the trailers, Theseus identifies him as a muggle. So again, before I'm rewatching all these movies, I'm aware that a muggle gets a wand. That's going to be interesting, right? And then I watch all the movies and that never happens. So I'm interested in seeing what happens. He doesn't do anything with it. There's one thing that happens with it, and A, he's not in control of it, and B, it doesn't matter. It goes nowhere. So they set you up for, but I'm going to come back to that later. The other thing I want to talk about in the trailer is the line that Grindelwald has, "Our war with the Muggles begins today!" Right? And that tells me that, hey, this movie is going to be Grindelwald starts the war, and these guys got to fight him and take him right. That line is in the last half hour of the movie, and Grindelwald, again, we're in spoilers now, Grindelwald doesn't make it off of that plaza that he says it on before the movie's over. It sets up this idea, this is thought in your head of what this movie's going to be, and it's absolutely not that. And then he just disappears. Oh my gosh. And I was waiting for that line. And we got 2 hours in the movie. And I'm thinking to myself, is this going to be the last line of the movie? And they're just setting it up for a fourth one. And it's not quite that bad, but it's pretty darn close. I'm going to move on now. I want to talk about, there's a character, I don't know if it's pronounced Lolly or Lally, something like that. Don't have a problem with her character, but the way she speaks, the only way I can think to describe it is that, you know how there's a difference between how actors act in movies and television shows versus how they act on stage? Seems like this actress thought this was a stage production. The way she talks is just way too weird and forced, and it's not her voice, and it's not an accent, right? So I'm not making fun of the actress. Just the way she delivers every single one of her lines sounds really awkward, and it just bothered me. This is a character I don't think we've seen before in any of the other movies. I think this is the first time she shows up. Certainly the first time I remember her. And I like the character. It's just weird to hear her talk. At one point, Grindelwald gets acquitted from all of his crimes with absolutely no explanation for how that happened. Literally, this whole sub-series, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the first movie, starts with newspapers about him being wanted. And then the whole second movie, which is called The Crimes of Grindelwald, is about him and the stuff that he's done. And then there's just one scene where they're like, yep, nope, all the charges are dropped, and now he can run for what is it? Mugwump? Whatever. Top wizard. Again, a little bit too much of real life in a fantasy movie. If you're going to go that route, at least make it part of the storyline. Right? Show us how and what he's done to get that. Right? Because, like, at this point, we're 3 movies in. What have we seen Grindelwald do? He impersonates a guy, tries to kill some innocent people, doesn't always go his way. That's the first movie. Second movie, he builds a following, kills some people there. Third movie, this movie, he kills an animal and then brings it back to life, kind of, for his own purposes. Like, he's killed people, yeah, but, like, nothing that, to me, screams most dangerous wizard in history. I'm not getting that from these movies. They tell us that. They don't show us that. Okay. The theme of this movie is confusion. Because somehow, for some reason that is not explained to us, Grindelwald is kind of sort of able to see the future. So they say, we can't have a plan because then he'll know our plan. So we need to either have no plan or a bunch of plans at the same time. And they literally say, we need to confuse him. And when the point of the movie is to have the characters do confusing things, how is that supposed to be an enjoyable viewing experience? Because let's talk about some of the things that they do. So Yusuf, who is Lita Lestrange's half-brother, his whole entire plan is to try to get into Grindelwald's inner circle and then do something. What is he supposed to do? I don't know. What ends up happening? He kills some guards. That's as far as that goes. Right? Why did Grindelwald think that he could trust the half-brother of the woman that he murdered? It's not really explained. He says at one point to prove his loyalty. I don't remember ever seeing him do anything that supposedly would prove his loyalty. So that, he could have just as easily just not been with, I forget who it is. It's Theseus and one other person, maybe Lolly, who are like cornered by a bunch of guards. And then Yusuf comes in and there's kind of a fake out where it's supposed to look like he's with the guards and he's going to attack them. But then he just turns around and attacks all the guards. You could have just as easily had that moment of tension where these two people are surrounded by guards and then Yusuf just comes in behind them and attacks them. The plot point of him joining Grindelwald's inner circle goes nowhere. Then you've got Newton Theseus. Now, Theseus gets arrested. I can't remember what for. He and Newt and I think Lolly and Jacob are all together when he gets arrested. I can't remember why he gets arrested. But he gets arrested. They go to one prison that he's not even at, which again is just another thing that goes nowhere. It's just this whole movie is just taking up time. Things happen to take up time. Nothing happens in this movie. This whole movie is just things taking up time. And to fill up the time in this movie, you have things that just take up time. Yusuf goes to Grindelwald and joins his side, supposedly, just to take up time. These people go to this one prison just to take up time. And then Newt, Dumbledore tells him the prison that Theseus is actually at, so Newt goes there and gets him out. Done, right? There are some creatures he encounters along the way. There's a guard that he has to deal with. No problem. And then he's out of prison and it's back to it doesn't go anywhere. It just takes up time. It just wastes time. Now, while I'm on this idea of the prison, Dumbledore, gives or somehow gets certain items to everybody on this team that's going on. Yusuf, we're not shown what it is, but he says to Newt, I have what I need. And then we never see him use anything. So maybe that was a weird way of saying I don't need anything. Don't know what was going on there. But he gives Theseus a scarf, which turns out to be a port key, according to Newt, which brings them to Hogwarts. I still don't understand how port keys work, but based on my current understanding, you have to use it at a certain time, or else you'll miss it. And it just so happens that it works when they're being attacked by this big monster, and then it gets them out of there. That's way too convenient. Remember, conveniences that get characters into trouble are good. Conveniences that get characters out of trouble are lazy. But B, why would he think A of B, B part 1, why would he think they would need that? B part 2, why give it to Theseus? Specifically. Can Dumbledore see the future? So, they have this weird side plot to 2 different prisons, both of which go nowhere. And they use an artifact that makes no sense for being in the story the way that it's in. Then Jacob and Lolly go to a dinner to prevent an assassination. So first of all, why is Grindelwald, if he's got his plan, right? Which his plan is steal this creature, kill it, bring it back to life, but in a bewitched way, so that it tricks people into thinking I'm a good guy, so that they vote for me. And all of that works. So then why also have a plan to assassinate one of the other people running for top wizard? If you've got your plan in line and nothing's affecting your plan, why assassinate someone else? And if you're going to assassinate other people, why not assassinate both of them? So that then you're the only option. Why only do one? This makes no sense. So the fact that there's an assassination attempt at all makes no sense. But then they go to the dinner. Jacob has absolutely no reason to be there. But Jacob's been given a wand by Dumbledore. He asks, does it work? And he's told, sort of. He never uses it. He never tries to use it. He never does anything with it other than hold it and look at it and show it to people. But for some reason, in this scene, it seems like Lolly does something to the wand to make it look like Jacob is causing this big storm, which then other people interpret as Jacob is the person trying to assassinate this lady. I forgot her name. Santos. And again, none of that makes sense. Right? If you're at this point, Lolly has already stopped the assassination. Right? She found the poison, whatever, got rid of it. Assassination thwarted. So then, why make a big scene? Why force it to be through Jacob that it's happening? And then Jacob is standing there holding onto this wand that he can't control. Let go of it! What are you doing? And so this whole dinner scene, this whole assassination thing, you guessed it, goes nowhere. Nothing happens because of it. The plot is not moved forward at all because of this scene. We just have more nothing taking up runtime. They talk about the blood pact in this movie. I still don't understand how it works. Dumbledore's supposedly explaining to them what it does. I have no idea what that scene was supposed to convey. Maybe that's on me. I'm willing to take the L on that one. But, you know. Just another thing that doesn't get paid off. Okay. So then... Alright, so we are told, because the Chillins play an important role in this movie, we are told that back in the old days, the Chillins used to pick our leaders because they have this quality that they can see inside your soul. And if you're a good person, they will bow to you. we're told that that happened long ago, right? Like, as in, not in a really, really long time. But then for some reason in this election, with like, you know, we don't get any kind of like newspaper articles talking about, oh, there's a chill-in, we're going to go with it. Just literally there at the election, the dude's like, oh, hey, we're going to use a chill-in this year. Out of nowhere. And everyone just rolls with it. Like, this guy that we've been saying for years is a master criminal and our most wanted person ever. Not only is he running for office now, but we're also going to bring in this animal that we haven't used in a really, really long time. And oh my gosh, look at that. It just so happened to bow for him. What a coincidence. And then everyone's like, yeah, that guy. Like, how stupid are these people? That they don't think that that's kind of strange. Maybe we should look into this a little bit more before immediately voting this guy into the most powerful position that there is. Speaking of Grindelwald, let's talk about his followers. Wait, I can't, because I don't know anything about any of his followers. Now, to be fair, I didn't know a lot about many of Voldemort's followers, but I knew who Lucian was. Lucius. I know who he was, even if I can't remember his name. I think it was Lucius. I understand the Malfoy family. We learned a lot about Snape. Beatrix is a very interesting character. Nagini's this snake that we don't know a whole lot about, but we are... Did she die in the last movie? No, she couldn't have died because she's in the Harry Potter movies. She's not in this movie at all. I could not tell you the name of one of Grindelwald's followers other than Queenie, which I wrote down on my notes and then erased because, like, I can't even formulate thoughts. I can't even formulate words to describe how I feel about A, her leaving to join him in the first place, but then B, also her continuing to stay with him this whole movie. So I'm just ignoring that whole thing. But other than Queenie and Credence, who isn't really his follower, but is just... I'm wondering if Nagini was in this movie, and she's just never addressed. There's a female that's with Credence a lot, but I think it's like Grindelwald's main follower, main right-hand woman, but like, I don't know anything about her. So literally, I can't figure out if it was her or Nagini. But nobody ever says the name Nagini in this movie. So I'm pretty sure it was the other person. Although I don't think they ever say the other person's name either. Because I have no idea what it is. And I don't know anything about her. I don't know why she's with him. I don't know what her plans are. What her motivations are. What her goals are. Grindelwald, for being the most powerful wizard in the world at this time. I know so much less about him and his followers than I did about Voldemort. And if that's the guy that your movies have to live up to, you gotta do better. You just gotta do better. So, end of the movie, Newt and Bunty and the rest of the Scooby Gang, they reveal to the world, because they're just allowed to walk up on stage with all these politicians. Nobody stops them. They reveal to everyone, and people believe them, even though they have no proof, that Grindelwald killed this thing and bewitched it or enchanted it or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, by the way, there was also a second one, and we have the second one, and this one's totally real. Like, we can't prove that we didn't also do something like he did, but, you know, trust us, because we're the good guys. And so this little chillin' thing just runs out into the crowd to sniff out the best person there, and of course it goes straight to Dumbledore, and it bows before Dumbledore, and Dumbledore's like, what? But we've seen the Harry Potter movies. I was never top wizard. I can't be top wizard. Go find somebody else. And so it goes and it finds Santos, who was the person that was supposed to be assassinated earlier in the movie for no reason. But, like, we don't know anything about her. So I just wrote, yay for Santos, I guess. Nothing in this movie matters. And then my last note is no wedding for Dumbledore? Because the last scene in this movie is Queenie and Jacob's wedding. And Newt is there. And this is when Tina finally comes back. And Theseus is there. And Dumbledore's outside. And he sits across the street from the bakery, watches some things happening, and then walks away. Is there something going on? Why can't he be there? Why isn't he there? He talks to Newt. He doesn't talk to Jacob or Queenie, the actual people getting married. He just talks to Newt and then leaves. I have no idea why they chose to go that route. So those are my thoughts after my first viewing of Fantastic Beaks. I wish we had more Fantastic Beaks. Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore. This movie made me angry more than anything else. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you've got counters to my complaints, please put them below. If you know things that I don't, that will make things make more sense, please let me know. But I was not overly pleased. Even though I thought it was paced better than the first one, and I thought it was more focused than the first one. It was focused on ultimately nothing. Pockets of nothing that added up to 2.5 hours of nothing that went nowhere and do nothing for the greater world of the Wizarding World. So, that's where I'm going to leave this video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.